All right. So, good morning, programmers. Good morning, good morning, everyone. So, this time we are going to discuss about functions or methods. So, as I've said, there are codes here that are repeatedly stated or defined or written, and then why not create functions or methods for it so that it can be called it can be called anytime if we do so, no, if we want to. So actually we have already encountered a lot of functions in C++. By the way, this is in C++, it's called function. So but in other programming language like Java, it's called method. Any actually different name but the same lang ilahang purpose. So when we talk about functions or methods, functions or methods are block of statements that are organized or put into a prototype or a function which has a name, and it is going to execute invoke a statement when we call it. Okay, so that's actually function, no? So the only thing that it is going to execute its code or statement or whatever you write in instruction you have written in it is that's the time it is only going to parang execute its statement. So or execute its task. So na siya task na ginabuhat. So that is what we do now. So let's erase all this one. And let's start from scratch. Okay, so wait. So erase na nato ni and kadugay ba? Control A na lang di. Wait. Tama di ma-appeal ang main. So yan, you can see there mga functions like toString, if, if no can be considered as a function as long as there is open and close parentheses. You have also there kung to upper, I guess nagamit na to late kanina. So yan. So let's remove it. Okay. Yan. Okay. So in in every programming language, we have this built-in functions and or predefined functions and user-defined functions. So when we talk about functions again, so since we are in C++, so functions are block of statements that are called anytime if we want to or if we do so. Okay, if we want to, then then it executes. Okay, so executes the the statement. Okay, so ayan. So there are two kinds of functions in every programming language. One is the predefined function. So predefined versus user-defined. So these predefined functions are built-in functions in a certain programming language. So built-in functions, and it is ready for us to use. So when we talk about user-defined functions, we are the one who create it. No? So this is what we are going to focus on. So what are the sample predefined functions? So far in C++, there are only limited functions that we can use depending on the version of compiler. I mean, if we get to compare it in Java, there are actually bunch of functions in Java because it is made of parang functions, because Java is made of objects, and you're actually like you're actually working on with real objects, and each object has method or functions. But here in C++, we have only limited functions. Okay, and right here, let's say we are going to, these are I mean, these are the some of the functions that we can use. Let's say square root. Let's have the square root of 9. Okay, this is actually in C math, but in my include ninyo si CMath, pero actually this is automatically declared here, ay automatically ano na. So I guess pwede yata na to mag-run siya without CMath. But in your case, if in the event na lahiin yung hang compiler, this might not work properly without declaring CMath. So you have here CMath. Uh, yeah. So the square root of 9 is 3. Yan. Now, square root of 9 is 3. So you can have here. So we can, so see, you can call the function anytime you want. So the square root of 9 is, yan. So you can also have here, let's say, unsa pa man, let's say you have 2 raised to the power of 3 is, so I guess there's something like pow there. So 2 power, yan, 2, wala lagi, pow 2 and 3. Wala pa siya. Ayan na. Okay, so 2 raised to the power of 3 is, so yan. Ayan, 2 raised to the power of 3 is 8. Ayan. So naapot tayo mga absolute value, absolute out, absolute value of, let's say, 20. So these are under math libraries, no? And then for string, di ba itong to lower, length, size, and I have introduced it to you before. So ayan. So these are some of the functions that we can call anytime we want. However, these are built-in functions. Whatever is inside of this, we don't know how it is actually written. The only thing that we know is it works this, it is actually working the way or the same with how the mathematical or mathematics is, mathematical rule is applied to it. So basically, the only thing that we know is ang iyang function, no? The only thing that we know ang iyang on how it behaves, but the on how on possibly or on what possibly are parang codes or how it is actually written or unsa jud ang sulod ana is we don't know. Okay, so because it's what it's actually built in, meaning we can use them anytime we want. So mura lang na siya og sa cellphone, no? Sa cellphone. Sa cellphone na ay daghan like let's say sa smartphones kanang screen o LCD. So we just more or less ang ginabuhat sa technician is nagapalit na siya og LCD to replace LCD kung LCD imong ang daot. And then dili na nila need kailangan maghimo og LCD para ipuli sa imong LCD. They will just have to purchase LCD to replace the LCD. Okay? So inana ang iyahang idea sa built-in function. Kasi it would be parang take time na if they are going to create their own LCD. And of course, para sa imo, mas madugay na pud ka kasi mag-create pa siya LCD, like customize para sa imo. But of course, the good thing or the advantage of that is that it is customized based on your, if magpainana man ka, it is customized based on your preference. So, since programmer ta, we have to know how to create on our own. We have to know how to create functions, and that is user-defined functions. So we should be the one, we are also we have also the in C++ or in every programming language, we have also the mechanism to create our own function or method. Okay, and let's focus on user-defined method. So in C++, uh, if you are going to declare your function it's actually it must be declared outside of your main, of course. No, it's either uh, on the right or the top portion of your main, or at the bottom part of your main. So if you decide that your function will like is actually declared here, you don't need to have prototype on it. So what I'm trying to say here is later on I'm going to show you what's the different ways on how to declare functions in C++. So let's say for an instance, we have here void and then let's say message. Okay. And then we are going to display here uh, uh, welcome to C++ programming. Okay. Though, of course, if we are going to, if we are going to only display welcome to C++ programming, all we just need to do, why do we have to have functions? Where in fact, we can actually simply declare, do this, right? So, but of course, that is not the way, or that is not what we expect to, or that is not what our goal is. Our goal is to create a function, and then we are going to call the function, okay, by calling the function. So you have here method call, and then whatever is inside of that message, it is executed, and then you can call it anytime you want. So if you want to call it like 2, 3 times, ibutang nimo sa loop, it depends, no? So you can do something like that. Though wala pa kayo mo nakita ng difference sa atong gibuhat, kasi we're just declaring it. I mean, it is just a simple function that displays a certain value, but in the succeeding weeks, probably you will appreciate it. So again, functions are used to organize your things here, no? So think of this way ba na ang function is like it's like a it's like something that is created, and then once it is created, you can replicate it. Okay? So by replicating it, you don't have to recreate it again. So that is actually the idea of function. All right, the other idea of creating a function in C++ is if you don't want let's say I have here int sum, or let's say void muna, unya na lang ng sum. So let's say void sum, and then I have here int, and then int, okay, and later I'm going to decide, okay, 4, 5. I'm going to decide whether what I will do with sum function. So of course, this time I don't have anything right here that I haven't written any ano sa tawag na ani any what you call this one, semantics of my sum yet. I only declared it, and this is what we call prototype. And then I'm going to create a function, okay, semantics and syntax later on that part. Kasi if in ani ang mahitabo, if you're going to declare your function right here, it is not going to be read as a function by your program. So as you can see, nag-error imong program here, imong sum, imong function. So in C++, medyo strict iyahang rule that the function that function that you will create must be declared outside of the main, but it should be above the main. So meaning to say, you'll have to register it first. Okay? Okay, what we did here, we have a message na automatic siya nag-register, i-register na to ang function. At the same time, it executes a statement. But what happens right here in the sum? In the sum part is that we just register the function, and then that's only prototype, and then later on, uh, we are going to assign, let's say, num1, num2, and then you have here like the sum of num1 and num2 is, okay, num1 as num2. So, okay, until this will be not parang i-uncomment na to, this our program would give us an error. Okay, so you must declare its prototype before you can actually create a function definition. So this is your function definition, or shall we say function body. Okay, so ayan. So I have here declared two ways. You have you have declared here the prototype first, you register it, and then later you decide that this function would do this kind of instruction or programming in our application. So there, so the sum of 4 and 5 is 9. So that's actually two ways, but it's up to you kung gusto ka na you don't have to have prototypes. Actually, you can go directly here. Like the same with what we did in message. Okay? So it's up to you, no? If unsay advantage sa imuha, it's up to you unsay imuhang preference. Either you declare first the prototype kasi nay uban na programmers na diri sa ilahang prototypes, okay? Or ilang method or function prototypes. And then later na sila himo og ano ato kasi mas arrange man gud siya like tanan dira mga method prototypes sa or function prototypes, and then sa bottom part na sila maghimo og instruction ato. Okay? Kasi ang main dapat ang mauna. That's for them. Okay? But in the event na you like this one or you prefer this kind of coding, it's up to you. There's nothing wrong with that. So any will do. So the good thing about this one lang is you don't have to declare prototypes and then definition of your function. Kasi automatic pag naagi sa taas sa main, automatic ma-register na. Okay, automatic ma-call na siya. Okay? Nakuha, class? Nakuha? Uy, paningog daw mo.
Yes, sir.
Si kuan lay pormente mo tingog, si Welmy Joy. Kung taga tingog na ay 10 points, si Welmy Joy ra joy mo pasar sa inyo ha. Paningog daw mo. Nakuha, class?
Gamay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Gamay. Gamay. Dako na lang gud na. Sige. Pila ray pag yes? Kamo jud no mga alof kay mo. Noon ta mo klasihan sa pila ka weeks. Okay, sige. Right. So this time we are going to have here, let's proceed with functions. So sa functions natay ginatawag na, okay, so natay 4 types of functions. Okay, so let's start with 4 types of function. The first one is non-value returning, okay, non-value or void, okay, non-value returning method or function without Plus na ba? Taas pa, without parameter. Okay? So, second one is kapihon na lang ako na. Okay, so non-value returning with parameter. So, with parameter or arguments, no? With parameter or arguments. And then the third one is value returning. So, this is using the data type. So, nani siya data type, either string, character, integer, double, depende sa inyo hang gusto i-work on. So, value, non-value returning, grammar. So, we have here value returning function without parameter. And then we also have the fourth one is, okay, so value returning function with parameter. So let's have it like one by one. So when we talk about first one, non-value returning without parameter. So this is an example of number one. Okay? Kasi it doesn't have any parameter. Okay? And also it is a void function. So when you talk about void function, it does not return any. Okay? So remember ha, void functions does not return anything. Okay? Or meaning to say, i-execute nimo imuhang ang iyang statement ato without returning anything. Okay? So ang data type na function or kanang type function will return something. Okay? Unsa man na something depending on unsa ang data type na gigamit nimo. So, and then the value that is returned after. Okay? So, this is an example of number one. So, non-value, so void without parameter because we don't have any parameters there. Okay? So, that's it. So, if we are going to like continue creating it, like we have here, let's say string message, and then you want to here uh, welcome to C++ programming. You type tapos message. So this is an example of number two. Okay, non-value returning, it's still void, but it returns the I know it has arguments or it has parameter being passed to it. So when you call that function, so this is method call for number one. Okay, let's have here method call for two. So let's say I have here welcome to C++ programming. Hi there. Example lang. So hi there. So I have a use message. So by the way, sa object-oriented principles, we call it as method overloading. But again, we don't touch that principles yet muna. Let's look into it na this one is separate lang sila, no? Message, parehas lang pangalan. But then again, the other one has parameter. So you have it here, hi there. So the hi there is going to be passed through the MSG or message. And then it is, aside from it is going to display welcome to C++ programming, you type, then message. Unsa tong message na imong gibutang dito will be placed right here. Okay, so upon running this program, we would have here, welcome to C++ programming, welcome to C++ programming, then hi, you type there, hi there, you type hi there, you type, naman tayo backslash n, no? So dapat wala. You type hi there. So sa and then there. So you type hi there. Ang dasam nato na amang good siya sumpay. So magbutang ng tag C out. So that's the first two functions. So you type hi there. So it does not return any because it's void. The only thing that differs them is that you have here an argument, or you don't have here the argument or parameter while the other one has it. Okay. So now this one is also an example of function which is number two. Okay. So now let's have function number three. So for function number three, you just have to use a message, and then so let's try. So mhm, happen. String could not be resolved. Try na to integers. Ay, kasi natay message na wait ha. Mo sa tag simple kaya. Int val. Okay, and then let's have here like val. Okay. So right here is that we have here um int val, it returns 100. So this is an example of number three. Okay. Yeah, number three function na siya, type of function. So if we're going to create a I don't know what happened with the string, no, try na to. Another my message. Okay, and then this returns uh, welcome, sorry, welcome or welcome lang. Okay, welcome to my world. Okay, and then so this is now number three. Okay, so value returning. Okay, value returning without parameter. So this method is going to return a string, expected that it's going to return a function. It's going to return a value, and the value that is returned is welcome to my world. So example, so ato sa pantanggalon ha kay para di malipog. Okay, let's remove all this. Yan. Have your C out. Okay. Though tawagon nato na siyang my message. Okay. Upon running it or upon running our program, this would not do anything. Okay. We call it, but it doesn't display anything because wala na to siya display because it only returns something. Yes. So this time, i-run na to siya with this return, with displaying it. Napil naman ng panghugas o plato dira. Hello. Yes. May naka-on sa mic. Okay, so right here we have number three. So it returns it returns a value at the same time i-display nato siya. So we use normally pag value returning siya, we have to use output statement for that. Okay, and lastly we have number four. Let's say we have your string message. Okay, and then out kopyahan nato ni siya. So my message, I am welcome. Okay, sige, ano lang. I am welcome. All right. So when you get to run your program now, okay, number 4 din, no? So wait, number 4. So there, no? Welcome to my world. What happened to my message? Ay, okay, wala na to isumpay. Plus or message. So there you have now, welcome to my world, I am welcome. So with using shift operator. Okay, kasi dili siya see out. So kailangan nimo siya plus sign. So there, welcome to my world plus your message, no? So there, I am welcome is passed through my message, which is it has parameters. So that's the function, different function prototypes, different function types. Now, let's have meaningful functions. Okay. So we are going to create functions that are a little bit meaningful. Of course, you will not appreciate it once ang function nimo is only this one, no? Basic lang kaini siya. So, let's say for an instance, we are going to have let's perform operations. Let's say we are going to add numbers. Okay. So let's have the number one type. So we have here int ano lang. So C out, enter num1. Okay, and then C in num1. Okay, pwede nimo siya ibaba dire. Okay. So by the way, we call this as local variables. Okay, local variables. All right. And then let's copy paste this one. So you have here enter num2. So and then display na to siya dili. We have here the sum of num1 and okay, num2 is okay. And then we have here num1 plus num2. Ayan. Oops. This is the first one type. So when we call this one, we have here add. Okay, so add function, sorry, add function. So when you call that function, it is going to, of course, execute whatever is inside of it. What happened? We have kulang og isa. So there, enter num1, 12, enter num2. So the sum of 12 and 34 is 46. So again, if wala ninyo appreciate, sir, ngano mag-create pa matag function na pwede raman nato na ibutang dire. Okay? Yes, remember function is used to organize things, no? Let's say for an instance you want to add like you want to call this add 3 times, 4 times. So it is advantage na naka-function siya because you can just call it few times. Okay? So meaning to say, without even declaring a loop, no? Or parang repeatedly writing it again and again, you just have created a function instead. So, yan, function na pod, function, and then function. So that's one of the things you can have, or you can benefit out of a function. Okay, so let's have number two type. So in the number two type, let's say we have here um, int num1 and int num2. So you don't have to declare it right here, but pwede gihapon. So this time, since na kay parameter, you can actually use that one, no? The sum of num1 and num2 is num1 plus num2. That's number two function. So this time, or number two type. So this time, instead of imong buhaton dira is uh, for the type 2 type or type 2 function, you just have to assign a value here, 5, or something like 5 and 8. And then when you run it there, so enter num1, 3, and then 4. The sum of 3 and 4 is 7. So ang isa is nag-type ka, ang isa you just pass value to it, which is 5 and 8 is 13, no? 5 and 8. So if you're going to ask me, sir, pwede ba ako mag-input for my number here? Of course, pwede ka mag-input dira, no? Like, for an instance, dili ka na part, and then, okay. So right here, mong button is declared, ibutang nimo diri imuhang num1 and then num2. So this one right here is locally declared in the main, and this one also, num1 and num2 are also locally declared here in add. So dili na sila magka-ila, no? Like lahi na sila na declaration. So right here, ang add function is the first add function is it is calling this statements. So you have here 2, 4, and the sum of 4 is 6. Then, nahanap po kay another, nakay input types and nakay input statement dire for num1 and num2. And then, you call add num1, you call the function which is kaning line 26, you pass the value to it. So let's say 4 and 5. The sum of 4 and 5 is 19. So, butangan lang nato siya backslash n diri. So, butang lang tag backslash n every time itong function. Okay? And then, the next is number 3. Ang number 3 is value returning type. Let's say it returns its value and it doesn't have any parameters. Ay, kanidi atong kopyahon. Okay? So, change nato ni siya into int. Yan. So, int add, or let's say, add 1 na lang ni. So, add, okay, add 1, or add with return, add with return. Okay, so, ang buhaton ani is, it returns the, let's say, function. So, int man na ang return niya, return num1 plus num2. Okay? So, you call this number 2, number 3. So, add with return. Then, para ma-execute nimo ni siya sa imong program, you will have to have here cout add, okay, with return. Let's say, yeah, ano lang, add with return. Okay? So, pwede na ito nitanggalon ang ubansa. Let's have add with return. So add with return lang ato ang gitawag. So add with return is na siya num1 num2 enter num1 num the same sa katong void na add, but this time add with return, but it returns the type instead of, it returns the value instead of ipasa niya ang value. or na siya ipasa na value. So right here, you have, so enter number or num 2, 5, so 7. So yan. So 5 and 2 is 7 kay like nagtawag matag add with return. So pwede nimo ibutang dire that the sum is ayan, add with return. Okay? So we can also copy paste this one. And then this time we'll have here int num1, int num2. So this is number 4. So pwede na kawalay in ani. And then return num1, num2. So you will need this one. Okay? Para work na siya properly. And then you have here, this is ang first one is add with return. Add with return, and then the other one is add with return with parameter. So num1 and num2. Okay, so you run the program, and then okay, so the sum is asa man to? Okay, kay una pa man tag ano no? Wait for a while. So see out, dire nato na siya ibutang sa then lang mag-input sa daan. Okay, balik. So we have 2, 4. So the sum is, sa man eh? Sum is add with return. Return num1 and num2. Wala lagi siya gi-return. 4 and 5. Ayun, dito pa siya. The sum is, asa man ka nangita dapit na part. Aman ni nag-display si the sum is. Wait. Tanggalon sa nato ni si add with return. So right here, 5 and 6, the sum is 11. So it calls the add with return kani with parameter. So it returns something toning num1 and num2, while the other one kaning isa, okay, is it does not it actually returns a value, but it um it returns a value, but this time it doesn't have, asa na to? Ay, dara di ay. So it returns a value, but upon calling it, that's the time you actually enter a value. So that's the difference between the two. So nevertheless, ang point there is you can actually create your program or method in any type you do. Okay, in any type you have here. So again, these are just techniques. These are just parang different ways on how to declare functions. Okay? So it's all up to you kung unsa ang purpose sa imong function, what you would like to achieve. So at least you have the options on how you are going to design your function. So there, no? So functions are just there. It will behave like nothing. It is going to do something if you call it. So inana ang function. So what if basin nakipansin ninyo int ka at the same time, so meaning sir int lang jud ang i-return ana ni function. So no, pwede siya mag-return og string. Example, this one. I want this na mag-return siya og a string. Okay? So pwede nimo na siya return. So let's say 2 string, and then you have here the sum of, okay, and then so pwede siya na string ang return type, and then ang imuhang ano is integer, ang imuhang argument or parameter, so it doesn't matter. So and plus num2, then plus is. So upon running your program, you have here, num1 din. So this is another function na ang return niya is add with return kani string. Atong utangan add with return string kasi parehan na siya pangalan sa taas. So the only way para matawag ni mo na siya there is dire nato butang. So add with return string, ayan. So you have num1, num2, and then ay what I see out. So dapat mag-see out ta. Wait. Ay, sorry, wala tayo value. So let's say 3 and 5. Yan. So we pass value 3 and 5 there in the function, and then it returns a string, no? The sum of 3 and 5 is 8. Ayan. So that's different ways on how to declare a function. So again, let me repeat it. Pag non-value returning function, it does not return any. Okay, na parameter pero it does not return any. So sige, if para makarelate mo kaning pwede nato ni siya i-treat as ang function nato like lover. So if atong lover is function 1, so function 1, so it does not return any. Okay? So, because you don't have anything given to him or her. So, wala po siya ibalik sa imo and return. So, ana siya, no? So, you don't give anything to it, it does not give you anything. Pero na siya ginabuhat. Ayan. So, ang number 2 function as a lover is okay, it gives you something and it does not expect na it will give you anything. Okay? Kasi dili siya required na maghatag, but you actually give something to him or her. So nakayatag sa iha pero wala siya ginabalik in return. So as simple as that, no? So kaning number 3 as a lover is you don't give anything to it or you don't give anything to him or her pero na siya ginabalik sa imo or ginhatag in return. So wala siya nag-expect na maghatag ka but always ka nag-expect na siya ihatag. How ano no? How swerte are we, no? How lucky are we if naatay na ani nga lover. So kaning isa ka lover na si 4 iyahang gusto is mohatag ko kung naa kay ihatag. Inana siya ka ano. So tagaay ko og something kay tagaan ta ka og another or tagaan ta kag anything. So which is mohatag ka and then napo siya ihatag afterwards. So ayan, no, just for you to relate lang something. Okay, let's create a function that simulates the idea of like we still have time. Yes, napay time gamay. Example lang natay value like we're going to return simulate a power of a number. Let's say power of a number. And then what it does is let's say atong buhaton will be natay two values. Napunta na mo lahi na pod x and base na lang, base and int power or exponent. Okay, and what we'll do with this one is we'll have here the let's say file exponent is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, and then so i-return nato siya ang let's say this is result. result is equal to 1, and then result times equals to the base. So, di ba power is i-multiply na to ang base by itself. Okay? Based on pila ang power na to or exponent. So, exponent minus minus. And then, return result. Okay? So, let's call it in our main function. So, let's say we have here, uh, sige, let's call power na 2 and 4. And let's have here our own creation, which is power of a number. So let's say 2 and 4. So upon running this, we have here, so sobrang isa, uh, greater than nandiyan na siya. So right here, you have two functions here. We call the functions built-in functions. 2 times 2, 2 times 1, 2 times 2 is 4 times 2, 8 times 2, 16. Tama. So we have here, this is the built-in function, built-in, and then the other one is mo ni ato ang user-defined. Okay? So this is what we have created. So simulate na nato, but I'm not saying that kaning built-in function is ginani na paghimo. Okay? So this is what I only believe na this could be something like in ANA. So based on my understanding. Okay? So, but then again, we don't know what's inside of power to 4. So, but if we are going to follow its algorithm in getting the power of a number, it's like multiplying the base based on the number of exponents. So, which is if we run our program, even though ato ano siyang i-change into ano, it must, or if tama atong algo, then of course it is working the same. Yan, 81. Okay? So, and there's still more we are going to do with functions. Okay? So, this is something na karon meaningful na siya, no? That instead of ibutang nimo na siya as a code here in your main, so kung napansin nimo medyo limpyo na imuhang program because you have created here power of a number rather than putting it here in your program. So let's say kadaghan nimo na tawagon ang power of a number, or let's say kadaghan siya mag-appear sa imong program. So dili pwede na imuha siyang code again and again in the other line of statements. So it must be created in a way that this will be organized in a function, and if we are going to use them in the future, then we just call them twice, thrice, or I don't know how much, no, or how many times you will call that method or function. All right. So I guess that would be all. Any questions so far? Nay question? Wala. Oh, ako na lang maingon wala kay for sure di man manubag. Okay.